We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. Yeah, we are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. Oh, that makes you know he can't fucking breathe. Oh, that makes you know we are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, you're tuned into the only podcast not afraid to say it outright. Biological men should not be allowed to wrestle biological bears. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I've got a glorious panel here with me to break down all the shit talking and shenaniganry, the fight announcements and fuckery that has trickled out the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Before we get into all that fun and fuckery, though, first off, gentlemen, how you doing over there?
Little under the weather, but we're fucking here.
Not much different on my end. Tired as fuck. Ready for the weekend. Fights ain't gonna be good, man. I can't wait for next weekend in that regard.
Yeah, no shit. That is the silver lining. If nothing else, this is the last Hangover fight week in this 4-week back-to-back slog that we have had to put up with over the last month. So even if the fights this week aren't the greatest, this is the last of the downhill slump until we get to UFC 314 in Miami next weekend. But before we get into all that, let's kick things off around here the way we like to, with a little bit of news and recent events, fight cancellations, fight confirmations, rumor confirmations, things of that nature, relevant news in the MMA world we feel you guys need to be aware of. First and foremost this week, unfortunately, we do tie directly back into last weekend for a bit of a head scratcher, if you will, here. 23 of the 24 scheduled fighters on last week's UFC Mexico City card all showed up, all acclimated, all made weight, and all were ready to go, with the exception of one person. Joe Pyfer was the only person on the entire card to not make weight, and not even not make weight, completely pulled out of his fights and blamed the entire thing on Mexico. Said he went to a restaurant that was quote unquote trusted by the UFC staff, where others had gone and had no issues, and he, the only person to have ate there and had any repercussions out of his entire team and all of the other UFC staff and athletes who went there, he somehow is the only one who got sick, and it's Mexico's fault, according to him. I'm not going to repeat his fucking words because they're ignorant as shit, but he went on a big fucking diatribe on social media, basically blaming Mexico for him not being able to perform and saying that he's never going back to Mexico. So Joe Pyfer has never been more fucking stupid than it is right now, to say the very least. That dude is a dumb shit. Moving forward, though, little more positive news here. We've got some very, very interesting fight announcements that came down the pipe this week. The first one, what is being called the strongest fight on earth, Mario Pudzianowski versus Eddie Hall, is officially happening in MMA April 26th on the KSW 105 card. Both of those men are legitimate former world's strongest man champions. So the fact that they are both doing MMA to some degree, and now they are going to fight in MMA, is a pretty interesting fucking scenario here. If you've been watching, Pudzianowski has been fucking tearing up the European circuit in MMA for the last 2 or 3 years now. And Eddie Hall has been going out and doing all kinds of fucking strange matches, including his 2-on-1 match where he beat the shit out of not one, but 2 people at the same fucking time. Granted, they were 2 smaller dudes, but still, he's been getting his work in, and he's been doing the damn thing diligently. Pudzianowski's been fighting for KSW for a hot minute. Going to be real interesting to see how 2 legitimate former world's strongest men do when they get inside an MMA cage. I'm fucking here for it. Unfortunately, the other side of that April 26th news came down this week that is not as good. We got confirmation that Jamal Hill is officially hurt, and the main event of Kansas City is officially off. In the last couple days, they have scrambled, and like we talked about last week, Jeff Neal is officially hurt out of his fight with Carlos Prates for this weekend, or this next coming weekend in Miami, rather. So the UFC did some swapping around, and the new main event for UFC Kansas City on April 26th will now be Ian Machado Gary versus Carlos Prates. Interesting fight, but man, that's a big hit to that card. That is not a replacement fight of equal value, in my opinion. Still an interesting fight, but not nearly strong enough to main event compared to what was promised previously. Looking forward from there a couple weeks, UFC 315 going on May 10th up in Montreal. Got another interesting bout added to it this week. Joel Alvarez stepping in to take on the returning Benoit Saint-Denis. Very interesting matchup, in my opinion, for both gentlemen here, get added to that Montreal card. We've got a bit of an interesting one here. I've got to say, I personally am a little bit shocked, but here we are just the same. GFL, the Global Fight League, has officially announced their debut events, plural. They are doing a 2-day event, May 24th and May 25th at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. The first fight card will be headlined by Tony Ferguson versus Dylan Dennis. The second card will be headlined by Uriah Faber versus Henan Barao. Very, very interesting. One fight that will not be on that card, though, excuse me. Frank Mir announced that he is officially injured and out of his matchup with Fabricio Verdum, which was originally going to take place on this card. Following that announcement, Fabricio Verdum has officially withdrawn from the entire GFL global season because they run seasons, or they plan to run a season similar to what the PFL does. And with Frank Mir out, Fabricio Verdum said that he's just not as excited about any other future potential matchups. So he is back to being retired once again. That being said, moving forward from there, June 7th, UFC 316 in Newark, New Jersey officially got its main and co-main events announced this week. And they both kind of suck. The main event will be Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili 2 for some stupid fucking reason. And the co-main event will be Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena for the ladies 135 belts. They are fights and they are official. That's what I can say about both of those. Moving forward, the following week, June 14th, UFC Atlanta got an interesting ladies fight added to it here. Jamie Lynn Horth taking on Teresa Bleda. Going to be an interesting ladies fight added to the Atlanta card here. And then 2 weeks after that, UFC 317, June 28th from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Brandon Royval officially taking on Manel Kape in the #1 contenders battle here on that 317 card. That's going to be a fun fucking scrap. We got confirmation from the UFC itself that this year's UFC Noche going down September 13th for the first time in, I believe, 13 years, if I recall correctly. The UFC is going back to Mexico and not to Mexico City. UFC Noche this year will officially take place in Guadalajara, Mexico. Nice to see them actually finally expanding. The UFC did go to Guadalajara. I believe it was back in 2012 was the last time they went anywhere other than Mexico City. So nice to see them, especially with them building the PI down there, to go somewhere other than just Mexico City. If nothing else, than to give the fighters a chance to fight in Mexico, not at fucking elevation. So we'll see. Last couple ones I've got here, kind of interesting. The first one, I'm not sure how or why, but for some reason we got confirmation this week, that Jessica I has officially signed a 1-fight contract with an option to be re-signed with BKFC. The girl most known in the UFC for the head kick knockout that she received, not delivered, has somehow signed with a bare knuckle striking organization. And I can only think that this is just going to go poorly. So we'll see as we get a little closer to her potential debut in May that they're talking about, but big oof, big fucking oof, to say the least. Now, on the other side of that coin, kind of as a lot of us have predicted, because rumors have been swirling for a while, we got it official this week. Kyoji Horiguchi has officially vacated his Ryzen title because he has signed with the UFC and is coming back to try and make a shot at the belt in the largest MMA organization on the planet. We had talked about it several times on the show in the last couple of weeks. There have been rumors floating around for some months now that this was in the works, but nothing was official yet because, as I mentioned, he was the fucking belt holding champion over in Ryzen. So it wasn't as simple as just getting him released from his contract, but it has officially been done. He has vacated his Ryzen title and he is now officially a UFC employee once again. So I am very curious to see how they match him up and who they make him go through, if anyone, before they put him right into what he should have as a title shot, in my opinion. Speaking of, we'll see what's next. We got confirmation straight from the horse's mouth this week. Henry Cejudo has said it is official, it is definitive. He's not sure who it's going to be yet, but he has one more fight left in him, and then he is done for good, regardless of the situation. He is acknowledged. He is not getting back to the title at this point, no matter what he does. He doesn't have the time and ability to put in the work required to do that anymore, but he doesn't want to go out the way that he just left the last taste in people's mouths. He wants one more potential last big fight, just for big fight's sake, and then he's going to retire. So this, I think, is something that the UFC might actually grant, considering they've been trying to get him to re-retire since he unretired. I have a feeling they might give him a fairly interesting matchup, considering that it's going to have no implications in the division going forward. Let him have something interesting as long as he's actually going to fucking retire once it's said and done. So we'll see. Speaking of all said and done, though, last one I've got this week. Again, another one that made the statement that this isn't how I intended to do it, but Jared Gooden has officially decided that it is time for him to retire from MMA. Obviously, still fairly close to his fucking athletic prime, still doing decent, even if there have been a couple of speed bumps in his path. But this is, again, one of those situations where a fighter is retiring, still able to legibly sign his own name and tie his own shoes. And we always appreciate that versus the alternative options in this situation. So as much as it might suck in the short term, tip of the cap to Mr. Gooden here, leaving MMA with a record of 23-11, which is nothing to shake a fucking stick at in this day and age. So wish nothing but the best for Mr. Gooden in his future. He said he is officially done with combat sports, but there is still more in his future to be had. So we will see where he goes from here. That is all I have got for news this week. Either one of you gentlemen have anything I might have missed?
Nothing noteworthy for me.
Only thing I saw before the show, Kennedy and Sheck was out of the fight this weekend.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he's hurt. They filled it. Some kid named Uran something. I couldn't pronounce his last name for shit.
Nice. Right on.
Kid's stepping up on short notice, but yeah, Kennedy's out.
It does kind of suck, but I mean, it is what it is at this point. So we will have to see how things go as we get a little closer to this weekend. But that being said, before I forget, like I do most weeks, I'm actually going to take a moment here real quick and give everyone the combat sports menu rundown for this weekend, because yes, we do predominantly schedule the show around the UFC's calendar, but then again, so does every major combat sports organization across multiple sport platforms. So I like to take a moment here during the show to let people know that the UFC is not the only game in town, even if that is what we focus on for this particular episode. So as is the case more often than not, kicking off bright and fucking early. First thing tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. One Friday Fights 103. They're getting in a pretty good groove of this. 2 MMA fights to open the card, and then 10 Muay Thai matches in 4-ounce MMA gloves. Those are fucking spectacular. This one will be on YouTube, so you don't need to pay no money to watch it. Good stuff to kick off your day with coffee and combat sports tomorrow, if that's what you're into. Kicking off a little bit later, though, at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, part one of a 2-part BKFC Dubai event. The first time in Dubai, bare knuckle has been brought. BKFC is putting on a 2-day event with 4 belts on the line. The first one kicks off at noon Eastern tomorrow, with 2 belts topping that one. One of the most interesting matchups that I was not even aware of until just yesterday that takes place on that card tomorrow is 48-year-old, the dad boda constrictor himself, Oleksiy Oleinik, is fighting bare knuckle on this card tomorrow afternoon. So if nothing else, I might tune in out of morbid curiosity just to see what the dad boda constrictor can do without his strongest fucking skill set, his submission. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. That being said, tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, Invicta number 61 live from Oklahoma. This one, again, will be on CBS and YouTube both. 7 fights on the card. This is one of the most predominant women's MMA organizations in the world, period. Pretty much every Invicta women's champion has gone to the UFC, and vice versa. There are several ladies on this card who have been released from the UFC who are trying to work their way back up and will be on this card tomorrow night. So even the casual fan will recognize a couple of ladies on that Invicta card tomorrow night. A little bit later than that, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow evening, one Fight Night number 30 because they're on the other side of the planet. This one on Amazon Prime. This one there is 3 MMA matches, 1 kickboxing match, 1 grappling match, and then 5 Muay Thai matches in 4-ounce MMA gloves. This one will have a lot more fan-friendly or casual, recognizable names on it here. Still, casuals aren't going to know the whole card, but hardcores will know the vast majority of it here. Good stuff to be seen over there as well. Kicking things off bright and early Saturday morning at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Octagon number 69. Nice. This is one of those European feeder organizations that I always tell people about for this reason. When you do good in these organizations, you generally get called up to the UFC, to ONE, to PFL, things like that. This is another one of those European organizations where a lot of fighters have both gone from them to the UFC and vice versa. When they get released, go back to try and build their way back up. Going to be a couple of fun fights on that card as well. Saturday afternoon, the other half of the 2-part Dubai card from BKFC. Again, noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. This one has 2 belts at the top of it. Again, not a whole lot of interesting fights on the Saturday card. Ironically enough, they really bookended heavy on the Friday card, but still, lunchtime bare knuckle, if that's what you need, it's there and available for you. That being said, the last 3 weeks in a row, I have to say, Tapology has been wrong in their time listing. Last week, to be fair, the UFC changed times last minute because they had the Joe Pyfer fight drop off. But the last 3 weeks in a row, Tapology's start times have not been correct to the actual start times of the UFC. This time, I have confirmed that I'm looking at them both right now. Both Tapology and the actual UFC website are both confirming UFC Fight Night Vegas 105 Emmett versus Murphy starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time Saturday evening. So if it starts any other time than that, you guys will know that some shit has been changed because both Tapology and the UFC official website, as of right this moment, recording live, are showing we are starting this card Saturday night, 6 Eastern, 5 Central Standard Time. So that being said, that will bring us to the point in the show where if you've been watching combat sports for any significant amount of time, you start to learn what you like, when it comes on, how to watch it, and you develop a set of metaphorical blinders, if you will. You start to lose the combat sport forest for the punchy-kicky trees. Luckily for us here at the ImNoJo podcast, we've got ourselves a bona fide young person out there ever so diligently keeping abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they are names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So, be fucking honest, most of this is an absolute pile of shit. It's really hard to put any shining light on this one this week. I know I like to try to be positive and optimistic. Look at the bright side most of the time, but there's literally maybe 3 people I can talk about and or a fight that I can talk about that's good this weekend. So I'll start with all the shit. There is definitely quite a bit of the fucking shit. I would say all the ladies' fights this weekend. I would just throw in the can. And it's not to be like sexist or anything like that. They're just bad. Estela Nunez facing Loma Boomy. That's not really a great fight. Loma's young. She's got, I guess, some potential, but she's only got 2 finishes in her 12-fight pro career. So she, in my eyes, isn't that exciting. Estela Nunez 0-4 in the UFC. That one's just, I'm not excited for that fight in general. You got Demopoulos and Toledo Alencar. That one's going to be a shit fight. And you got Dione Barbosa versus fucking what's her fucking name? Diana Belbita. Both of their names are too fucking similar. Both of them suck absolute ass. Reese McKee, another 0-4 motherfucker in the UFC. I feel like he's going to get slept and get his ass beat this weekend. Throw that motherfucker in the can. You throw the Ode Osborne and Luis Garule fight in the can as a whole. Garule coming in, making his debut. He's 10-0, but he's 31 fucking years old, and he won a split decision on the Contender Series. And I'll keep talking about it, especially when we get closer to the Contender Series. There's no room for motherfuckers getting into the UFC, losing fights or winning split decisions or winning decisions in general. If you're not doing something spectacular, coming in young with a nice record, and you've done something special in the regional scene, what's the point in bringing them in? You're supposed to be trying to bring in the best talent in the world. They definitely haven't been doing that lately. So not looking forward to that fight. Not even if the guy's 10-0. He's not that young, and I'm not going to say that this one's a contender. I'm not looking forward to that one. You got Brad Tavares. I like Gerald Meerschaert, even though he is 37. He's probably on the back end, obviously. 35 fucking finishes of his 37 wins, though. Gerald Meerschaert comes to fucking fight. Brad Tavares has just been kind of shit for years now. Only win he's had in years is beating a washed up Weidman coming off of the leg injury and everything. And that's pretty much how he won, is just leg kicking and beating up Chris's legs. So yeah, I'm gonna throw Tavares in the can as well. I'm it sucks. I mentioned it earlier, and then it was like right before the show. I was looking into some fucking shit for my notes, so I looked on SureDog and saw that news tidbit that Kennedy and Shek Wu was out, and they replaced the fight with some other young guy. I put Kennedy in as my contender because he won his first couple fights here at heavyweight by knockout. Budai, 5-1, close to the rankings. You knock him out too. The way heavyweight is at this point literally makes him a contender at heavyweight. But Kennedy's out, so don't really have a contender that I would actually say. The few contenders that I'm looking towards, some people may be excited about the kid Cortavius Romeus. There's another kid coming off the Contender Series, but this will be his second go in the UFC. He lost his debut, and I just feel like he's another guy similar to the Luis Garule, 31, and he's really undersized. He's a bantamweight, but he's just kind of short. He's really undersized, and I feel like it's always going to be kind of a downfall for him. Similar to the guy I'm going to talk about here, Torres Finney. He's the one true contender that isn't really a contender until he proves some shit still, but he's more exciting than what Dana White made to be. Forcing the kid to fight on the Contender Series 3 fucking times. He got a submission his first time around. Didn't give him the contract. Then the second time was a decision. A little bit more of a boring fight. So, okay, third time around, first round knockout. Oh, then he finally gets a contract. He's 26 years old, and he's 10-0. 8 fucking finishes of his 10 wins, 7 of them by knockout. His problem is similar to what I said about Ramos. This is the only thing I'll get on Finney. He's got a good personality, too. I like the guy's personality. A little corny there after he won on the Contender Series, trying to steal from The Rock. But it's still, the dude's loud. He's easy to talk, on the mic. So excited to see what he does. But he's small. He's at middleweight. He's huge. He's really built. Like, he's strong as fuck. He's got the wrestling. He's got the knockout power. But he's short. He's 5'8". And the dude he's fighting this weekend, not good. Robert Valentin is not a good fighter at all, but he's over 6 feet tall. So he's got quite a height advantage. Maybe if he catches Finney, he gets something. But I do expect Finney, whether the height advantage is there or not, he's so strong, he'll probably be picking Valentine up, slamming him around. Maybe he gets the knockout. The kid strings some shit together. He's got a chance. I just feel like he's got a low ceiling. That's where I'm like, he's got to really prove something in my eyes to be a true contender. But he's the one shining light on this card. A 26-year-old that's undefeated, finished most of his fucking wins, good personality. Feel like he's going to look good in his debut, and it just really depends on what he does. But once he gets deeper in there, he gets to some of those killers, that fucking height advantage is really going to fuck with him. So we'll see what he can do in the future, but I expect he'll have a strong start. You got Daniel Frunza. He's another guy. He's not too young. He's 30 years old. He's making his debut, but he's another guy that's got a lot of knockout power. 8 finishes of the 9 wins, all of them by knockout. And I expect him to get a good one this weekend. He's fighting Reese McKee, the dude I threw in the trash there, 0-4 in the UFC. You got the Brito and Sabatini fight as a whole. This is literally, there's 2 fights on this card that are decent. It's the co-main event and the main event. The main event is the one, in my opinion, good fight. This co-main event is decent. And that's the other, like I said, 3 shining lights. You got Torres Finney, the co-main event, the main event. And the big thing out of the main event is Lerone Murphy. Now, I do think Brito and Sabatini in the featherweight division, both of them are close. They're probably in the top 20, at least top 25 right now. Whoever wins, especially if they get a finish, it puts them in a position maybe they get close. There's not a lot of stakes to the fight, but the fight could be good. I think Sabatini's better than a lot of people would be thinking. I saw on Tapology a lot of people counting him out. Brito, lost his last fight to William Gomi. It was a big surprise. He had the fucking 5-fight winning streak beforehand. So it's an interesting one. But Lerone Murphy is the true contender. I tried to put the shining light on Torres Finney because he's young, undefeated, got the finish ability and personality. But Lerone Murphy, man, he's never lost. His last 2 fights, he's been beaten Edson Barbosa in a 5-round fight and Dan Ige. Those are not easy guys to beat. He didn't finish them, but I don't think anybody's ever really finished Dan Ige, and Edson Barbosa is still a fucking dog, in all honesty, even if he's older. He's kind of like Jose Aldo. Those dudes just have really hung the fuck around. This is a big test, even if Josh Emmett's 40, even if he's been out for the 18 months, he's got a lot of power behind his ass, and he is that dude. That's all he tries to do. He just goes out of every fucking thing that he throws. He's just trying to take your head off. So it's going to be something to see if Lerone can win this fight without being boring, like we kind of saw with Yusuf Zalal in his last fight against Calvin Kattar. I don't want to see you dancing around like we know he probably could. He's a decent kickboxer. He could just probably try to keep some distance, stay safe with it, and just not allow Emmett to get too close so that when he's trying to throw those fucking mad punches, he's able to get out of the way. But none of us want to see that. We want to see the dog fight. We've seen him in the last 2 show he's tough as fuck. He's kind of gotten his ass beat just the same. They were not like dominating wins he had against Barbosa or Dan Ige. He hasn't really put himself completely over yet. This kid has the potential to be a contender, still being undefeated. And, he's pretty damn good, and he's shown a lot of toughness. There's a lot of fighters nowadays that don't want to really get into a real scrap, and he's been getting into those in his last couple fights, and I see that happening this weekend. I see that fight being the best fight on the card. It's the only real reason we should show up at all. If you're not a hardcore fucking MMA fan, just skip the entire fucking thing. This is starting late, like Meter said. That's the real shitty thing about it. Is we got to try to stay up fucking late to watch this shit. So in reality, you don't want to see any of it other than the main event. Get yourself some sleep or do whatever you got to do. And what, like 10, 11 o'clock at night when that main event gets going, just tune in for that because it's going to be a fucking good one. Josh Emmett might just get himself another knockout against a young kid trying to work his way up, and Lerone Murphy just might grit out another tough ass battle and work his way into the top 10. It's the best thing we got this weekend.
That may be the most I've ever heard you talk about an entire card as a whole. I'm pretty proud of you. Way to be kind of a realist this week. And I say kind of because you sprinkled a lot more niceness in there than I thought you were going to than the way you started. So,
Hey, I said I always try to be positive and optimistic. I gave you three shining lights here.
You gave her the shadow of a doubt is what I'll call it.
Yeah.
Now, as a whole, this card is another one of those ones where you're going, let me rub the eye, see if I can see something good in here. Can I find something? There's a reason why I'm wearing glasses today, because it's hard to find something fucking good about this. I mean, look, I'll be that guy. Right now, you're definitely going to get at least one gratuitous ass shot. So, if nothing else, you can tune in for that. But as a whole, the card's pretty rough. I mean, I agree with Christian as a whole. Every one of the women's fights are fucking lackluster at best. The only one that I could even say that there was at one point may have been a little interesting, and that would have been Luma Luke Boon Me. But she started out looking decent in the UFC, and then she kind of took the fucking slide there where it's just not the person you thought she was. She's still decent. So of all the women on the card, that's probably the only one worth watching. The rest of them, meh. The premier prelim fight in Davy Grant and Daniel Santos. Davy Grant fucking just he's one of those guys where I look at him and go, how's he still in the UFC when he can't string two fights together? The only two fights he can string together are back-to-back losses. But I think his last four fights have been win-loss, win-loss. Daniel Santos, another young kid trying to get somewhere, but he hasn't looked great. Came out, loses his fucking initial fight in the UFC, which, to a lot of fighters' credits, there are a lot of them that do lose their first one. But he hasn't looked great in his last two. Sure, he got a knockout against Castaneda, but that doesn't mean dick. As another can. But, I mean, they're giving him a step up in cans, I guess. So, maybe they think there's something there to him. I personally don't. The whole Torres Finney and Robert Valentine, that fight as a whole to me, useless. Shortest middleweight in the entire fucking UFC. And a guy that's coming out the Contender Series. I don't look, I'm still 100% on board of it's like one out of every 100 fighters that I will put stock in that come off of the Contender Series. Finney is not one of those guys. The last one that I will say I put stock behind, Everybody already knew his fucking name before he was on there, and they made him fight on the fucking Contender Series more than once, even though he dismantled people on there. If you can't figure out who the fuck that is based on the information I just gave you, you're probably listening to the wrong podcast. I want to say something nice about this fight in Brad Tavares and GM3, but GM3 has been long in the fucking tooth. Brad Tavares beat a guy who's on his fucking way out the door last. It doesn't really fucking matter. As much as I want to root for GM3 because he fights out of Wisconsin, out of Milwaukee, I just can't fucking do it. The dude is not. He can't seem to keep a good thing going. And I say that because he'll beat some really good guys. And then he'll fucking lose to somebody that you really shouldn't have. In my own opinion, fucking getting subbed by Reiner de Ritter in Reiner de Ritter's first run out in the UFC was an absolute fucking travesty. Especially coming off of back-to-back wins and beating Barberena and Shabazian. We should have seen GM3 fucking getting up into the rankings after beating de Ritter, but he fucking shit the bed. GM3 is a guy who's had a ton of fucking potential and seems to squander it every time he gets anywhere near the rankings, which is such a fucking bummer. Because I want to root for him. Brad Tavares, not so much so. So I will say GM3 can be my contender of the week. Because he'll either do great or he's going to shit the bed. There's no happy medium with him. Octavius, young kid, I'm not going to put any stock in him yet. I know there are people that are already doing so. Again, one of those guys, fucking Contender Series guys, don't care. Until you prove it against legitimate fucking other fighters, you don't get a whole lot of stock from me. However, we got Pat Sabatini and Joe Anderson Brito. That should be a okay fight. And I say okay. It's not going to be great, but it'll be okay. Joe Anderson Brito has shown some flashes where he looks like he could be that guy. And then he gets beat by fucking William Gomes. It's every one of these fighters that looks like they've had a good run in them. Like Brito, he was on like a 5-6 fight win streak before he got fucking beat by Gomes. Which, to Gomes' credit, that's probably the toughest Frenchman we've seen in a while. But he's not great. My opinion, I don't think he's great. But that is what it is. Pat Sabatini, on the other hand, as much as I like the fucking name, anytime he gets put into the spotlight, he gets a train ran on him. And not in the way you want to see either. I mean, he's fought some tough sons of bitches. And every time he gets one of those guys where, oh, here's a chance for me to move on up and it should be fairly easy, he shits the bed. And I have to start questioning his chin because he goes out in the first round a lot. I mean, Diego Lopez did it to him. Damon Jackson. Trying to think of who else. There's been a couple of first round finishes of him where he's just got slept. And you're wondering, diminishing returns or whatever the case may be. But that's a fight that I will say could be interesting. I'm trying to be as nice as I possibly can here. I'm trying to find the good. I'm just having a hard time doing it. Josh Emmett is nothing more than a fucking knockout machine, or try to be knockout machine. He had a really good run until he ran into other knockout machines that are better than he is because they don't swing for the fences every time. Lerone Murphy is on an absolute fucking tear right now. But the caveat to that statement is he hasn't fought any really really big names. And when I say big names, I mean people that aren't on the tail end of their career. Because yes, you can point out fucking Dan Ige, who is, much as I love 50K Ige, he's at the tail end of his career. Edson Barboza was one of those guys. I mean, he's fighting, yeah, there's names there, but they're not names that are relevant currently. And I say relevant as in relevant to somebody who actually has a chance at making a title run. Josh Emmett is going to be that first, what I'll say, actual test for him. Because Josh Emmett had his chance at a title already. Shat the bed at it, but it is what it is. Is this the best fight on the card? Yeah, it really is. Which for me is sad to fucking say. Because when this is the best they could come up with and it's your main event, this is like shitting and falling back in it. You think you're getting relief because there's fights, and then bam, no, it's really not that good. You feel really bad about it. It's hard. It's just fucking difficult to fucking want to say anything nice. Because unfortunately, it's not nice. The best thing that's going to come out of this for me is that I will probably miss it. Because I'm going to figure out something to do starting at 5 p.m. Central Time when the prelims start, and make sure that shit runs until about 11 o'clock to make sure that this fucking card is over with. So that way I don't have to deal with that. What I will do, however, is I will tune into the I'm No Joe Shorts section to see if there's anything cool that I missed. Other than that, I'm not going to fucking do that. This is another one of those waste of time cards. And all I can do is go, God, can it be next week already?
Yeah, this one, it's been a rough 4 weeks straight to begin with just fight night card after fight night card after fight night card. At least last week, they went out to Mexico City and brought some more interesting fights, even though it was still a fight night card. This one, this is a hard sell, man. I'm not even going to try and pretend. This card is a hard sell. But being as this card is such a tough sell, I think this is actually probably the perfect time for us to introduce our new rating system for the I'm No Joe show, because pretty much every combat sports show has some type of rating system. Jed Meshew uses farts. Alexander K. Lee uses the mental gymnastics score. Mike Heck and the Morning Combat Crew both use the letter grade from a school card kind of score. None of those really kind of work for us here on the I'm No Joe podcast, since we find ourselves more often than not trying to polish a turd into a gleam bright enough to get casual folks to pay attention. I came up with a scoring system here that I feel that we can all probably recognize and use fairly easy here. What we're referring to it as is the picks over other punchers system, or the poop rating system here. Which fighters on the card are you actually interested in seeing overall? So for our poop rating system debut, we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12 fights since we lost the oh no, I guess there is still 13 fights since they replaced Kennedy. So potentially a perfect score would be 26 for 13 fights. You want to see everybody on here. The perfect score for that would be 26. For me personally, looking up and down this roster, I thought about this a lot before the show, and I've been thinking about it during the show. And I'm going to say my official poop rating score for this UFC Vegas 105 card, it's 4. I am genuinely interested in both sides of the main event. Pat Sabatini, because his name's fun to say, and he's always an interesting fighter, win or lose. And then GM3, Gerald Meerschaert. Not that I think GM3 is any kind of a world breaker, but if the GM3 that we know is in there shows up, he could make real short work of Tavares, and it could be a fun match to watch. Other than that, realistically, there's not a lot on this card that gets me interested in the slightest, top to bottom here. I can't even say that the co-main event as a whole has me interested, because I feel like I've seen the best that Joe Anderson Burrito has to offer, and it's not enough to get me excited. Pat Sabatini, I don't think is going to touch a belt at any point in time, but he is one of the most fun fighters in the UFC, in my opinion. That's going to be interesting. That main event, whether it goes 30 seconds or it goes the whole 5 minutes, I think is going to be pretty interesting. Other than that, this is a card that is full, in my opinion, top to bottom, with contractual obligation matches. It sucks, but that's basically what it is. So I'm officially going to call my poop rating for this card a 4. What did you say, Golf? Did you say 5 over there?
Yeah, you got 5 out of me.
Better than I was giving it.
Yeah, I was. You got the co-main event as a whole, and I'm always interested to see what the fuck kind of nonsense Josh Emmett gets into, as well as now we've got an uppercomer in possibly Lerone Murphy, and I say possibly. Right. And of course, GM3 is on that list as well. There's a reason why I said he's the contender. It's either he's going to do well or he's going to shit the bed. Those are the 5. After that, I could go a half just for gratuitous ass shot, so 5.5.
Right. What are you thinking over there, Chris?
It's funny that he bumped it up for gratuitous ass shot to 5.5, because I was going to go 6. I mean, you got the main event, the co-main event, like I talked about. So there's 4. I got Torres Finney, and then I like that kid Daniel Frunza too. So 6 for me, man. That I'm interested in seeing, and I'm just hopeful that we get more finishes or some shit along the way, so it makes it an interesting night.
Yeah, no, I can definitely agree with that. So there you go, folks. There is our official first I'm No Joe poop rating for a card for this UFC Vegas 105. 6 from Christian, 5 from Golftee, 4 for me, averaging out to a score of just 5 out of a possible 26. From all of us on the show, 5 out of 26 average score should tell you exactly how interested people like us, who make a point to tell you about fights that we like, are actually excited about a card like this. So it's not the greatest, but if you got nothing going on, it's definitely something to watch. But that being said, that'll bring us to the point in the show where the only segment we have that requires its own individual disclaimer, if you will. Watch that. Me. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does give you the option to go to their site, make a free account, and then make fantasy-style MMA picks like we do here on the show. They even let you make groups. So we made one. It's called ImNoBookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to find it. The group is open to the public. You are welcomed and encouraged. Come on over, make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the hell you are so we can hold your picks accountable with our picks in a segment that we call Tapology with TJ.
Thank God we're back. So that means I get to talk about last week, Moreno versus Ursig. That card was much better than this week's card by a long fucking shot. Not because of the quality of fight, but, well, yeah, the quality of fights that were on there. But then again, I mean, anytime you do something there in Mexico City, you're going to get a decently stacked card, even if it isn't Mexican Independence Day. So, I mean, to their credit, they put something decent together, which maybe that's what got Christian so hyped up this week, that he did so fucking well in his picks. 10 to 12 correct, 800 solid points, taking that top spot. Well done, sir. Pat on the back, attaboy. Way to pull yourself out of the gutter you've been in for the last, like, 4 fucking weeks. Proud of you, kid. Now, across the board, as a whole, our group did fantastic. Overall, we were well above the 500 mark. However, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Christian went back to his winning ways, but on the opposite side of that coin, Vinny went back to his losing ways. He pulled a 5 of 12, sub 500, 365 points. Everyone else was somewhere in the middle between 8 and 10 picks correct. Well done. But Vinny, he said, oh, I'm up there towards the top of the fucking leaderboard right now. Let me go ahead and pull my dick out, shoot myself in the foot with it, and then, because I'm mad, stomp on it with my other foot. And I'm mad about that, so I'm going to punch it. It just didn't work out well. It was a rough fucking week for the bin dog. But we've got 2 weeks left to go in the Grand Prix. So speaking of Grand Prix, we'll switch over to that. Currently, with the way that that played out, bin dog, since he had such a rough week, it really threw off the rankings there. Don and his River Tour account still holding that top spot down because he had another solid fucking week, sitting at 2005.35. His wife's not far behind him, Donna, sitting at 2004.05. Meter himself sitting in the 3 spot at 2003.25. Myself, I'm sitting in the 4 spot, 2002.30. Christian, with his massive week, brings himself out of the fucking gutter from last place and jumps 2 spots into the 5th spot at 2001.85. So you're saying there's a chance, he says. Lucas did all right this week, but because Christian had such a great fucking week, he got jumped up, and now he's sitting in the 6th spot, and Vindog with his terrible fucking week. Had he just had a mediocre week, he'd still be at the top of the fucking pack right now. He fell all the way from like second, or I think he was second or third place, all the way down to fucking last in the group. He was doing great. Unfortunately, it just so happened that it didn't fucking work out. That's where we're sitting right now. We've got 2 weeks left of this Grand Prix. That's this week, UFC Fight Night, and then next week, April 12th, UFC 314. Before we switch over to talking about the fucking odds this week, I'm gonna blow my fucking nose because, like I said, I feel under the weather.
It's all good. That gives me a second to remind everybody that, like TJ mentioned earlier, if you don't feel like watching all of the slog that is potentially ahead of us this weekend, all you have to do this weekend and any weekend that there are fights, or hop over to the ImNoJoe's YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ImNoJoe. And there are tabs across that page now. And if you click on the shorts tab, anytime there is a fight worth talking about that gets finished over the course of the weekend, I will shoot at least a short video showing you the finish itself, or a picture of the finish, depending on how litigious the assholes who broadcast the fight are, and let you know what happened. So that way, at least you're in the know about things like that.
Fantastic. That is a wonderful thing to do, especially if you know you're going to miss it. I'm just saying. I've missed a few cards here and there, and that's the best way to do it. This week, I'm gonna let everybody know I'm gonna be telling you the DraftKings odds. Since again, BetMGM seems to have just fallen the fuck off. We're gonna use DraftKings this week. I know I've been using Caesars the last couple weeks, but Like I said, we're going to switch it up a little bit. Besides, your odds are going to vary depending on where you're at. Now, on this card, there are some mighty wide fucking odds. Across the board as a whole, they're fairly um they're fairly coin flippy for the most part. However, there are a couple that are nice and wide, so we'll definitely cover those. I'm going to cover a couple of the mediocre ones, and then I'll cover the two wider odds that we've got on the cards here. Odie Osborne and Louis Guru, it doesn't matter. Luis is coming in with a minus 265 favorite over a plus 215 in Odie Osborne, which makes sense because Odie Osborne is fucking garbage, in my opinion. Not a super wide odds, but it's something. Torres Finney and Robert Valentin Frey. Got Robert coming in as a plus 245 underdog as the tallest guy in the fucking card, I think, at this point. And Torres Finney is the shortest man on the fucking card at a minus 305 favorite. Kind of odd how that one works out, especially being as he's coming in off the Contender Series. But then again, Frey has been absolute dog shit in the UFC, so there is that. We can't talk about the odds that they actually, I'm going to give you the odds that they had for him, even though that is no longer happening. The Kennedy and Njoku and Martin Buday fight that was going to happen. They had Njoku coming in as a minus 360 favorite and Buday as a plus 285. Not that that matters in your betting needs now because Njoku is out of the fight. The Now the rest of everything else pretty close to coin flippy. So I'm not going to cover all those. I'm just going to cover the two widest odds on the card now. The first one being in Estela Nunes and Luma Lukbunmi. We've got Lukbunmi coming in as a minus 700 favorite over Estela Nunes as a plus 500 underdog. Like I said, Lukbunmi looks like she had some heavy potential at one point. She's still a decent fighter for the female division. She just doesn't seem to be that world breaker that we thought she was going to be.
And I heard somebody else talking about it earlier today. Estela Nunes was originally slated to be the can to get crushed by Molly in London last week before the whole switcheroo happened and she couldn't get her fucking visa to get over into England. So apparently Vegas is kind of agreeing with us in the fact that Estela Nunes might be in the UFC, but at this point, she's just a body to get crushed, even considering Loma Lookboonmee hasn't fought in 13 months. It's been over a year since she's been in the cage. She's still got the biggest odds on the fucking card to win against Estela Nunes. So even Vegas seems to see the same thing that we've been talking about here in that fight.
She's not quite the biggest odds on the card. She's fucking close, though. That goes over to Dion Barbosa and Diana Belbita. They've got Barbosa coming in as a minus 1,000 favorite over Belbita and a plus 650 underdog. It's fucking crazy for some people, I'll say, that are both fucking cans. But, it's out there. So there's some crazy shit to be said about the odds makers right now. And considering those, if you guys didn't notice, both of those wide ass odds are the female fights on the card, not the men's fights. Nowhere near that wide. Oh, as always, we'll cover the co-main and main. Joe Anderson, Brito, Pat Sabatini. We've got Brito coming in as a minus 230 favorite over Sabatini and a plus 190 underdog. So not a super wide, but it's not quite coin flippy as far as the odds are concerned. And same goes for the main event in Josh Emmett and Lerone Murphy. You got Lerone Murphy on his fucking tear right now, coming in as a minus 325 favorite over the knockout artist and Josh Emmett being a plus 260 underdog. To be honest, I think the odds could be a little bit closer on this one, but I can understand where they're coming from, being as we all know Emmett swings for the fences and it's a go big or go home for him. So, those are the odds we got this week. And also, by the way, all of this shit was free. I know you guys do like free. So come over to Tapology, make yourself a free fucking account, and join the group. I'm ImNoBookie, and group 965. Feeling under the weather, my brain is not functioning fully, so sorry about the extra pauses. Suck a dick. But yeah, that'll bring us into next week where we'll actually have something fun to talk about. Thank fucking Christ.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Yeah, next week will be a lot more fun all the way around. We've got fun fights to talk about. We've got the pit coming back because it's a pay-per-view card, which means we also have the return of the pregame live next Saturday before UFC 314 kicks off. So all sorts of fun to be had next weekend, but just got to slog our way through this weekend first. So with that being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode here. So if you enjoy what we get up to around here, please make sure you've got your notifications turned on, you're subscribed, no matter which platform you're picking this up on. We do the show pretty much every Thursday before a weekend of fights worth talking about live over on YouTube, youtube.com/@ImNoJoe over on the live tab. Replay does stay up. So if you can't catch us live, you can always watch the video after the fact. If you don't catch the video on purpose, I understand. I also own mirrors, and for that reason, the week after we go live here on YouTube, the all audio version gets posted up over on anchor.fm/ImNoJoe. You can pick it up to your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Apple, Spotify, you name it. It's broadcast everywhere through there, and it's free just the same. If you like what we do around here enough to try and help out, the best way to do that is patreon.com/ImNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, as much as you feel comfortable giving, you help us do what we do around here, and we genuinely appreciate that. And to try and help show our appreciation, first and foremost, the end of every single broadcast on this channel gets a list of the Patreon patrons who help us do this. That is the least we can do to show everyone how awesome you are helping us. The other side of it is you get unrestricted access to the ImNoJoe behind the scenes library, all the unaired and unairable stuff that may or may not have gotten us kicked off of OnlyFans. It's all there for all the patrons. If you help us do what we do, we let you laugh at all the stupid shit that we get up to, or it's just the least we can do. So if you like what we get up to, help us out, throw us a coin. If not, we do the show for free every week, just the same. So if on the other side of that coin, you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down and go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, when we wrap things up here on the show, that is not the end of the fun, because tomorrow and pretty much every Friday, this gentleman, wait, no, he's over there. Yeah, no, he's over. Yeah, he's over there. There he is. This gentleman over here and his other half drop their podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, over there on Spreaker.com. Links to their podcast as well as their social media pages and their very own channel over on the ImNoJoe Discord server. Go hit them up, tell them how awesome they are.
Appreciate you, brother. The fun never fucking stops, man. If you missed it last night, or missed it any Wednesday night, here's your reminder. Every Wednesday night, you can tune in to Golftee Vape's YouTube channel. He's got his own little show, The Foggy Fairway. If you're into your own vaping goodness, you want to learn some recipes, some mixes, the brothers are always normally chilling, teaching you some fun shit, having a little good time. Make sure you pop in, show some love, and all the Golftee shit should be down in the description as well.
Thank you, sir. Oh, if you're not familiar and you think this week's card is pretty soft, you need something else to do rather than look at the total 5 points that we gave it as a whole this week. You may want to go over and check out all of the many things that the meter does do. Go down below, linktree/the meter does many things, or linktree/ImNoJoe. That will take you to each and every one of the many things that the meter does do. And I'll guarantee you're going to enjoy that a lot more than the fucking 75% of the fights that are on the fucking card this week. If you're going to tune into that card, do it for the GM3 fight, the co-main, and the main. After that, that's really all you need in your life. The rest you can catch on shorts. Or if you're feeling really giddy, go find it from some third-party vendor so that way they don't get paid for putting that garbage out.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Yeah, over on my other channel, 1st and the 15th are when reviews normally drop, but because we had a big thing happen at the end of last month, videos are actually dropping the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th of this month, with a roundup video going to be dropped on the 22nd, because up until now, luckily, the calendar has worked in our favor. The 1st and 15th have all been Saturdays, but going forward, at least for a little while here, the 1st and 15th are on Tuesdays. So my regular videos for this upcoming special April project will be the 1st, the 18th, and the 15th. And then the 22nd, we'll have a final thoughts, reveal, strain announcement, all that good stuff. The slow-mo melt shot videos will still be dropping on Saturday, every Saturday this month, though. So keep your eyes peeled for that, because those are pretty fucking awesome. That being said, though, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So thank you again to everyone tuned in. We appreciate you. Make sure you've got your notifications and all that good stuff turned on. But that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.